is onto your projects. What I'm going to talk to you about is how to use pan and how to use automation to make things fade out. So let's just listen for a second what I have. I have a little intro here. It's my synth melody coming in. There'll be a little break after this. Now we're kind of at the top of the mountain. We got a lot of stuff going on, but it's going to have to wind down near the end. So we have something that's pretty well organized at this point, but what we want to do is just add a few finishing touches. So the first thing that I would like to do is I would like to make sure that at the end my tracks fade out. Now here's a little trick. I'm actually going to move my tracks down and arrange them. So now everything that ends is right next to each other. This can be really helpful sometimes just to see it. I'm also going to zoom in a little bit. So at the end, what I'd like to do is just have things sort of fade. So I've already done this to a couple tracks. I'm going to go to this fat brass track, and I'm going to click on this little kind of graph button. That's called automation. You can see I've actually already done something here, so I want to show you. The first thing is pan. And pan is hearing things in your right or left headphone. So what I did was I had originally set it to happen on one side. I believe this is your left side when it's down here. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've pulled it so that this brass sound is only on one side of my headphone for the most part, not all the way. But that gives your sound a little more space. So pan is a fun one to do that just makes things sound more professional. But the other one, and this is more about what I'm talking about here, is the volume. You'll notice at the end, I've taken that little graph and I have a couple points, and I've actually made it decrease. So what this does is it makes your track fade out. So if I were to just press solo here and just listen to just this track fade out, you're going to hear it. So that one's pretty much finished. And again, the automation was right here, and it was already set up. I'm going to unclick solo and go back to this track. This was my synth melody that I made. You notice I actually deleted most of my notes, and I just used 3 because simple is better, friends. And yes, here we are with pan and volume. I've already set it up. So this time you'll see my pan is on the other side. So I felt like it'd be kind of cool to even out where I'm hearing things in my headphones. So on one side I have this fat brass sound. On the other side I've got this little twinkling ding, ding, ding. But again, you'll see I've faded it out. Now I'm going to take a look here. I'm going to compare. Yeah, it looks like I faded out over the last 2 bars or the last loop on both tracks. So that looks pretty good to me. I think those are done. I could double check again by pressing solo. I could solo both of these tracks. And they look kind of large right now because everything's expanded. But let's just double check that they both fade out. All right, sounds like that's doing what it's supposed to do. So when I click out of the automation button, all of that stuff sort of shrinks down again, which is nice. My last track here is a little piano track that I stuck in because I just thought it sounded nice at the end. It was a little different, but it also kind of sounded the same. Let's click automation here and you'll see volume comes up, and I haven't done anything. So here's what I'm going to do. This one's already set up here. I like where that's at. I'm going to double click, and that creates another point. So now I can drag this point wherever I want. Now, since I want to turn it down, I'm going to do that. So now every track should be fading out near the end. Let's see what that sounds like. Cool. Now I'm going to be real picky, and I don't like how loud this fat brass sound is at the end. So I'm going to start it fading out a little sooner. And that's fine. Not everything has to do everything perfectly at the same time, because all these sounds are different. And right there, my friends, is a graceful ending. So it's always nice to make your project, whatever it is, have a graceful ending. And fading out isn't the only way to do that, but that's one really easy way. Okay? Now, I want to show you a little bit about how to do some of this. So I'm actually going to take this little sweep thing down here. This was an effect earlier. Let me play it so you can hear it. That's this. And that's just sort of covering this little territory where I take a break in some of my tracks. So you can, again, go to the automation button. You press automation, and then it gives you three options: pan, sweep, or volume. So pan, again, is going to make it happen in my right or left headphone, however I choose. Sweep is another one where if you do this, it will make something go from muffled to, there's all these different kind of settings, but it'll make it sound muffled, and then it will make it sound less muffled. I'm going to try this. And sometimes it just doesn't hurt to try something. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to see what happens when I do this. And I'm going to solo this track so I can hear. I don't like that. So I don't like how it's so soft. And actually, you might decide this too. Sometimes doing too much to a track is kind of like not great. So I'm going to actually delete this sweep. Am I sure? Yeah, I'm sure. And I'm going to just leave it how it is. The other thing that you might want to do as just a little like evening out of things and a good finishing touch is to mess with the volume on each one of these. So I want to turn the sweep up a little bit, and I do this by clicking and I drag up with my mouse. If you want to turn something down, you click and drag down. Set it up a little bit. I want these piano chords to be a little bit louder at the end. Ooh. And you know what? Since I have automation on it, it's not going to let me. So if you have automation, you can tell by these little lines. You can't really just go and do that. Now the astrology pad, I could turn a little up, a little down. I'm going to have it about right there. And I want my drum beat to be a little bit louder. Okay. So that's how you do some small, quick adjustments when you're getting near finished with your beat. I hope that helps you guys, and keep working on your projects. You're doing wonderful.